Hi, it's Carol Doherty. Today I want to talk about how to be assertive at work without being rude. It's a fine line sometimes. When we, particularly as women, are assertive, people will see us as rude, aggressive, bossy, the Wicked Witch of the West, and many other very derogatory terms. And yet that's so far from the truth. It's amazing that that's what it's become. Now let's first talk about what does assertiveness mean. Assertiveness is a social skill that relies heavily on effective communication. It's a place where I have the right to my thoughts, my opinions, my perspectives, and you have the right to yours. We're making space for everybody in the conversation. That sounds like a really great thing to do, doesn't it? But it can be very threatening. So let's look at 10 key behaviors that can help you be seen as assertive without crossing that line into being aggressive or rude. All right? Remember, it's about making space for yourself and making space for others. First, listen attentively without accepting or interruption. 2, acknowledge the other person's positions or interests. 3, accept the other person's unique perspective. 4 is avoid accusations. 5, state your position and or interests. 6, propose a win-win. How can you both get something that you want? How can both of the needs be met? 7, suggest further discussion, particularly if things are getting heated, emotional, or just spiraling down into, a nasty thing, or just going around in circles and nobody's getting anywhere. Suggest further discussion. Number 8, follow up with arranged and specific time frames and solutions. Do what you promised to do. Number 9, suspend judgment. Who wants to be judged? Just leave that aside. Number 10, respect both parties involved. And I know that to me is one of the hardest ones. So let's talk about that one for a minute, because this is a key to avoid being rude, is respecting both parties involved. I worked with a guy, QC manager. I was the QA manager. He was a bully. There is absolutely nothing I liked about the guy. Push comes to shove, he actually did do some really kind things at times, but 99.95% of the time, he was a bully. So I did not respect him as a person. However, I respected his position on the project. He was the quality control manager, and he was in a bad situation. I mean, he's the guy going around telling everybody what's wrong. Who likes them, right? Nobody liked him. And his communication style and his behavior didn't help him any. So when I was dealing with him, it was hard to respect him because I didn't like him as a person. However, his position deserved respect. It was vital to the success of the project. So I had to respect his position, his role, him as the QC manager. I didn't have to like him. I didn't. But I had to respect him. That one was a huge mindset shift for me when I stopped thinking about Darren as, the bully and started thinking about this is something I need to deal with the QC manager on. And then when I would look at him and think of him in terms of QC manager, I could respect the position and we could have a civil conversation. It worked for me. I was one of the few people that he didn't bully. He did it one time. I stood up to him. That was the end of that. And part of it was because I gave him the respect his position was due. half the time he was bullying people because they wouldn't listen to him. So he just bullied them more. And if he'd stopped bullying, he would have had a better chance. So he didn't know where that line was. He didn't care, honestly. So I had to assert myself with him and say, no, I'm the QA manager. You're going to listen to me. But I had to do that. Part of what I had to do was respect his role as the QC manager. And when I did that, and when I would listen to what his complaint was or what his, he was talking about, and just listen. I didn't have to agree with him. I just listened. And I accepted that that was his perspective. That was his position. I didn't judge him. And I could say, okay, I hear where you're coming from. Here's what I see. Here's a way I think we can move forward that works for both of us. It often worked. Sometimes he would be so wound up. It's like, you know what? We'll follow back up on this tomorrow and come back and do it. And I met my dates with him. I did what I needed to do. It made it possible for me to have an assertive conversation with him where he didn't railroad me, because he loved to railroad people. I wasn't going to let him. So by standing up to him, doing those 10 steps, listening, acknowledging, accepting, avoiding accusations, being very clear on my stance, looking for win-win, suggesting further discussions if needed, following up as proposed, suspending judgment, and then showing respect for him. It made it possible for me to be an effective QA manager while working beside somebody who was a bully as a QC manager. So doing these simple things made space for me to have my rights, my position, my boundaries, and it let him have his own perspective. I wasn't right. He wasn't right. We both had our perspectives. We both had a job to do. And by asserting myself, and particularly my boundaries, it made it so much easier to work with him and not get run over. And without me becoming the rude jerk that he was. I stayed very professional during it. It was actually shocking to most people that I didn't ever lash back out at him. But that wouldn't have mattered. Standing my ground, standing up for what I needed, gave me the opportunity to set my boundaries, set myself up as a person who would be respected, and as such, I was respected. That's the power of being assertive. You don't have to become rude. I never yelled at him. I never called him nasty names. I just stated what I needed, was clear, and didn't put up with a lot of the nonsense. That's effectively how to be assertive without being rude while at work. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe. If you go to insider.caroldoherty.com, you can sign up and be notified when I release new videos. Have a great day. See you around.